Hey guys, it's Halo553. Welcome back to another Beyblade X unboxing. Today we're going to be checking out the second of the Wave 7 Duel packs from Hasbro, that being Calibur Samurai and Obsidian Shell. Now going over the packaging quickly, as you can see the packaging is very similar to the Hack Viking Circle Ghost Duel pack, with a nice open window showing off the base, and along with images, of course no letter rip tab. And then on the back of the box, it just goes into more detail of the combos you get in this duel pack. So first off, we have Calibur Samurai. So of course we have the Calibur Samurai blade. The ratchet is 670, and then we have the merge bit. And then we have Obsidian Shell. So we have the Obsidian Shell blade. The ratchet is 385, and we get the spike bit. So let's get into this duel pack. So here is Calibur Samurai and Obsidian Shell out of the packaging. So I'm going to go into a bit more detail of each of these bays one by one and talking about each of their parts individually. So let's get started. So first off we have Calibur Samurai. Now we only just had Calibur Samurai with, well, Samurai Calibur only a few months ago from Takara Tomy. So really cool to see this get a release from Hasbro relatively soon. But now, let's go into a bit more detail of this balance type blade. First off, we have the Calibur Samurai blade itself. Now this is a full-sided balance type blade featuring the Samurai gear chip avatar. Now this is a pretty decent balance type blade. Those full blades really have a nice attack potential to it. Now this blade itself isn't exactly meta tier. You don't really see this blade that often. But it's actually still a really decent blade to use if you're not a big fan of the meta. So I would say if you don't like using any meta attack or balance type blades at the moment, this is definitely a decent option if you want a bit of variety. Plus, certain combos with Calibur Samurai have been giving some meta combos a run for that money. But yeah, really happy to see this blade get a release relatively soon from Hasbro, considering that this blade only came out a few months ago. So pretty cool. Next up we have the 670 ratchet, so 6 intrusion points at that 70 height. Pretty nice to see this ratchet again, as we haven't seen this ratchet since the original Samurai Calibur release. Now 670 is a pretty decent ratchet. While it's probably not as good as 660, it's still a really fun ratchet to use. Definitely thanks to the one side being a bit heavier than the other side, so allowing your bay to be a bit more angled, so you can really get some nice under attacks down. Now the 6-sided ratchets do have a bit more of a tendency to be bursty, I found, mainly with 660, but 670 is still a really fun ratchet to use. I do hope we do see this ratchet in more colors soon, as, like I said, this is the only release of this ratchet so far with Calibur Samurai and the original Samurai Calibur. But still, pretty nice ratchet to finally have here, and nice availability in a duel pack. Finally, we have the bit known as Merge. Now, Merge isn't really a very popular bit by a lot of people. It's one of the tallest bits you can use at the moment, being 4mm taller than the standard bit, plus having a rubber material on its point. Now, that has led to this bit having a lot of less stamina than it would normally have, plus having a large amount of gear teeth, meaning when it hits the extreme line, it's using up a lot of stamina. Now, some bladers have actually found some pretty nice uses for Merge though. By wearing down the rubber to a bit where it's still legally, like you can still use it legally in tournaments, this actually becomes a really useful bit, especially for certain blades that tend to attack downward. So Merge can be a very useful bit at times, but it's one of those bits you have to work with for it to be pretty good. But still, pretty happy to see this bit finally get a release from Hasbro. And, well, not much else to say on this. With this combination of parts, it makes Calibur Samurai a balance type. But now, let's focus on the second bay in this duel pack. And here is the second bay itself, Obsidian Shell. Now, the blade itself is the same recolor of Black Shell that we got in Random Booster Volume 3. But what Hasbro and Takara has done here is they've actually changed up its combo entirely, as it originally came with 970 ball, but we now have some different parts here. But what is also very nice though, is that Takara and Hasbro have color matched these new parts to the same colors that the original combo had, which is pretty nice. But let's now have a bit of a deeper dive into these parts themselves. First up, we have the Obsidian shell blade itself. Now, nothing too crazy here that hasn't been said before. It's the same blade that we've gotten before in Wave 4 and Wave 5, and also with the remold in Tackle Goat in Wave 6. Now, the blade itself is okay. It doesn't really do that well defensively, or even with any other combo. I do find that Tackle Goat just has a lot better attack potential, and honestly I think that blade is a lot more useful overall. But still, I do love the colors on this. Granted, I do kind of wish they actually used the pink black shell that was included in Random Booster Volume 7. I think that would have been a lot better to have, especially with the wall ball bit included with that one. But still, this is a nice blade to have here from Hasbro. And if you haven't been fancying black shell for a while now, or Obsidian shell if you want to use Hasbro's name, this is still a great way to be able to get this blade if you've been a bit optimistic on wanting to pick this blade up. Next up, we have the free 85 ratchet. Now, I'm not too sure why they included free 85 here. It's free treasure points at the 85 height. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this new orange color it's in. It's a very nice color for it. But we've had free 85 quite a bit now from Hasbro, especially now with the recent release of the Extreme Expansion set with Mail Knight that comes with free 85. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this inclusion here. I honestly think it would have been nicer to include, like, say, maybe a 170, or even another ratchet that hasn't been widely released yet from Hasbro. But still, I do like the colors on this. Now, the ratchet itself isn't great. It does have some uses with some bays, like Clock Mirage. It really works really well with that bay. But I would say it's definitely not the best ratchet here, especially for Obsidian shell. It's just way too tall, and being a simple ratchet, it has a tendency to burst. But even still, I really like the colors on this. I think this is definitely probably one of the best colors for free 85 they've released so far. Finally, we have the bit known as Spike. Now, this is a defense type bit, and it's not exactly the best bit around. Spike doesn't really get used that much. It's just really a worse version of Needle. It's just not really that great. Just when you compare it to other defense and stamina type bits, it just doesn't do that well. But I will say, love this new color it's in. This is the third release of Spike from Hasbro, and the last time we saw this was with Savage Bear in Wave 2. Now, this is replacing Bull, which obviously is a much better bit overall, but I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of liking this new Spike color. I'm actually glad they substituted it. Since Spike hasn't had that many releases since Wave 2, it's definitely nice to see this bit again. Plus, considering the amount of times we have seen Bull, I'm actually honestly kind of sick of seeing it. But still, really nice to see Spike here. While it is not the best defense type bit, it's definitely good to see this bit come back in a way, considering that it hasn't been really available for about a year now. With this combination of parts, Obsidian Shell is a defense type, while the original combo this blade originally came with was a stamina combo. But still, not the best combo, considering it's very tall with a not really great bit. But still, this combo actually honestly should be pretty fun to use.
Alright, let's now do some weights for these bays. So we're going to start off with Samurai Calibur, or Calibur Samurai. So the merge bit, this weighs 3.39 grams. The 670 ratchet, this weighs 6.32 grams. And then Calibur Samurai, this weighs 35.30 grams. I am really disappointed by that, as the other Samurai Caliburs I had in the past way closer to 36 grams. So yeah, a little chip from the weight there. Granted, this could just be my example. Other examples could be better, but yeah, 35.3 is a little disappointing for this. So let's put the bay together. Oh, did I drop it? So there's the full Calibur, and altogether, Calibur Samurai weighs 45 grams exactly. Now for Obsidian shell, so the spike bit, this weighs 1.97 grams. The 385 weighs 4.68, and then Obsidian shell, this weighs 32.84, so that's around the same ballpark as other Obsidian shells currently out on the market. Granted, Goat weighs a bit less, but still, it's still not the best weight in the world, especially when you compare it to even this version of Calibur Samurai. So let's put the bay together. So 385 and spike. That's the full combo. Again, I still love the colors that they used for the bit, for the parts. So altogether, Obsidian shell weighs 39.41 grams. So let's give these guys some test spins and some test battles. Alright, now I'm going to do some test spins and some test battles with these two new bays. Now before I do, I just want to give a massive thank you to Impulse from BBAN for helping me get this pack. He first spotted it up in Queensland and then was happy enough to send me down the pack. This was before I spotted it on myself at Castle Hill and that, so thank you so much, Impulse. I've been waiting for this pack for a while, but you are awesome, so thank you so much. But now we'll do some test spins and some test battles with these two bays. So we'll start off with Calibur Samurai. So yeah, as you can see, Merge is a very interesting bit to play with. Its performance is gonna vary with how much rubber you have on the tip, but when you wear it down, it's definitely a lot better. But even when you keep it in the middle, focusing on its point, it stays relatively stable. Now granted, on camera it's showing a lot more wobble for some reason, but in person it's still relatively stable, which is that's a little bit trippy. Now for Obsidian shell. Now being on spike, it's gonna stay relatively in the center, but being on the tall combo is not really gonna help it much. Oh, that's a lot of wobble. Being tall doesn't really help it that much. Well, let's try these out against some opponents. Okay. Guess Mirage does. Guess Calibur just doesn't want to play today. Okay, that was interesting. That's the first time I've seen this circle ghost actually burst. Oh my god, look how loose that bit was! I thought I heard rattling. Wow. So that is it for my look at Calibur Samurai and Obsidian Shell. I'll be honest, I'm pretty happy with the Duel Pack. While it isn't the best Duel Pack Hasbro's released, it's pretty decent. Now granted, I do think there is some aspects of it I wish they did change, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now first off, talking about Calibur Samurai, it's a pretty decent release. Now the blade itself can be really fun to use if you're not a big fan of the meta. The 670 ratchet is a really nice ratchet, while merge, out of the box it isn't the best bit you can use. If you work with it, it can be a really decent balance type bit. Plus, it is just great to see this release come out pretty relatively soon from Hasbro, considering that we only had this bay a few months ago from Takara. So yeah, pretty happy with this being in a Duel Pack. Now for Obsidian Shell, I'm a little mixed on it.
Now, I will say, great to see that one of the recolors for Obsidian Shell is now available from Hasbro, but I'm really not too sure why they went with the yellow one. I think they should have gone with the pink one. Now, the whole changing of the combo, I think was definitely unexpected, but honestly, I do welcome it. Now, granted, I wish some of the parts were a bit better. Like, I kind of wish 385 was maybe 170. I think that would have been a great way to release 170 from Hasbro. And for Spike, I mean, it's Spike. It's nothing too crazy, but we haven't seen Spike for a little bit, so I can't really complain about it being here. So yeah, I do feel like this is the weakest aspect of the Duel Pack, but still, I do appreciate the color matching they did with the new parts, like they match up with the original 970 ball that this original yellow Obsidian Shell originally came with. So pretty cool. So my final thoughts on this new Duel Pack is pretty good. I mean, Calibur Samurai is a decent release, pretty happy with it here. Obsidian Shell, while the switching of the parts is really cool, and nice to see that they did it, I do kind of wish it was maybe either a different bay or even the pink Obsidian Shell. I think that would have been a much better choice, mainly stemming from the fact it comes with Wall Ball. But overall, this is still a really decent Duel Pack, and I do recommend picking it up. But I do kind of recommend the Hacked Viking Circle Ghost Duel Pack a bit more. I think you do get a bit more better value with that Duel Pack. But that is just my opinion. So, once again, I want to thank Impulse so much for helping get this Duel Pack my way. You are awesome. Keep up the awesome work, man. And that's going to do it for this review. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for other Beyblade X videos in the future. And until then, I'll see you all in the next video.